Hey everybody, my name is Andreas. Thank you so much for tuning in to another AMA session with AmaZix. In tonight's AMA, we're going to be talking with the CEO and founders of Sharpe Capital. If you're not aware of who AmaZix is as a company, we are a community management firm working with some of the top ICOs out there in the crypto space. What we do is make sure that Telegram and other communication channels are monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, covering all time zones so that all questions get answered, trolls get banned, and people are taken care of, and information is put out correctly. Some of our clients include Salt, WePower, Sharpe Capital, and Coin Metro, just to name a few. Thanks for tuning in, and let's jump right into this AMA session. All right, and here we are with Lewis and James from Sharpe Capital. Guys, thank you so much for spending some time answering some questions. Can you give us just a general overview of what Sharpe Capital is, some information about your ICO, and some stuff that investors may want to know before we jump into the questions?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that one. So together with James, we're focused on building a decentralized ecosystem that helps institutions and retail traders understand financial markets better. So that's kind of our tagline, if you like. And what that means is we've built a platform that gives people a mechanism for making predictions on markets and participating in markets and sharing that knowledge with the people who know how to use it. So yeah, it's a really interesting platform. We're pretty excited about it. We'll probably talk more about it in a minute. And yeah, kind of happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great. So let's jump into the first one, if we may. The first question from Steven in Telegram, it says, how much ETH have you collected so far? Are you satisfied with the amount that you've collected? And what's your soft cap, and have you reached it?
Yes, yeah, so we've got, so far, we're about 50% of the way to the hard cap, almost 3,000 ETH now. The cap is 6,000. And yeah, we're really happy with that. That gives us what we need to crack on and deliver everything on our roadmap and a decent amount of run rate. We didn't actually have a soft cap. That sort of became a trend after we were planning everything. But even if we had, we're well beyond it now. So things are looking good.
Well, great. It's exciting to hear that you're about halfway to your hard cap. So moving on to the next question, it says, how can anyone contribute, and are there restrictions? Do you have a whitelist or KYC in place?
Anyone can contribute, apart from a few exceptions. That's specifically China, Singapore, unaccredited US citizens, and there are a couple of enhanced checks for embargo countries. We don't have a whitelist, and KYC just requires a self-declaration for most people.
So the self-declaration, that'll be kind of an automated process then?
Yeah, you just have to tick boxes to confirm that you don't fall under any of the excluded individuals.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks for that. Next question, since we're moving right along. What are your plans for exchanges? And the second part of that question says, we have seen new projects being added to exchanges relatively quickly. Do you guys expect to be added quickly? And then what are just the general exchange plans for Sharpe Capital?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because there's so many layers to it, I think. But for us, I mean, we've always committed since the very beginning to the Bancor project, and we're kind of big supporters of their mechanism for creating liquidity. So one of the things that we'll be doing immediately after the sale is creating a token relay on the Bancor platform, and then that will add a certain amount of liquidity through their market making algorithms. In addition to that, of course, tokens will be tradable on decentralized exchanges, like they are for many other projects. And we're looking into options for some of the bigger, more popular exchanges and talking to them at the moment to explore ways of getting the token on there. We don't have anything that we can announce just yet. It's an ongoing process, but we expect to be able to announce something sort of shortly after the sale.
Okay, good. So if anybody has been following, you guys already had a payment from the first use of the platform. So can you explain a little bit how that went, what the profits looked like, and how it was distributed to token holders?
Yeah, so for the first month, we kind of set up sort of a first version of crypto asset portfolio. And we announced to people that what we'll do is we'll take a percentage of the returns in the first month from that, and we'll distribute that as payment to the people who provide the predictions on our platform. That's not something that we're going to do every month. As we move forward, what we'd like to do is announce upfront, this month there'll be a payment pool of this much, probably in dollars or in Ether, and then we'll distribute that to people at the end of the month. So people will use the app and they'll know upfront how large the allocation is to our community, and then that's distributed to people based on how much they use the app, the accuracy of the predictions that they provide, their token holding, and so on. But yeah, we already issued one payment. We pushed really hard to get the alpha up so people could use it and test the product whilst the sale is ongoing. And we've had some great feedback, and we're sort of implementing some of the changes that people have recommended. So it's been a really good process to sort of learn and sort of test it out nice and early.
Great. Well, that's a great segue, because now we're moving on to the product itself. So now that we've mentioned the alpha and you've said that you got it running and all that, can you explain a little bit like what it does, how do people use it, and what's expected from token holders who are actively using the alpha?
Sure. So token holders can sign up for the alpha platform at alpha.sharpe.capital. And what this does is it shows users US equities or crypto assets, and it asks them whether they feel that the asset's price is going to increase or decrease over the next 7 or 30 days. And the way we want people to sort of gauge this decision is by looking at recent news articles that we show them directly within the app. So they can read through the recent news and then make a decision as to whether they think the asset will appreciate or depreciate in value. So then users are rewarded in ETH as a function of how many predictions they've made, how accurate they are, how many SHB tokens they hold, which is effectively a proof of stake mechanism which tells us how confident they are in the predictions that are being made, and also in the historical accuracy, which we call the reputation score.
Okay, great. Thanks for summarizing that up. So you mentioned just a second ago they get paid in Ethereum. So this next question is, are you a security because you have payouts?
No, we are not a security because we don't pay dividends to people for holding the tokens. We pay people service fees for actively engaging with the platform, for making predictions, for making forecasts and providing sentiment. So we have a formal written opinion from our legal counsel that we are not a security or a regulated financial instrument of any kind. And we have opinions from counsel in other jurisdictions as well. So yeah, we're confident that we are doing things properly.
Okay, great. So this is a very interesting question. Since you talked about the reputation score, if somebody has a whole bunch of wrong guesses and they get a negative reputation score, what are you going to do to prevent them from moving their tokens to a new Ethereum address and then re-registering with a clean slate?
Yeah, so it took us a little while to figure out how to sort of achieve this. So we have what we call the 3 proofs. That's proof of work, proof of stake, and proof of reputation. And these kind of work together in a self-regulating way to disincentivize dishonest behavior. So the way this works is when you use the app, you have to provide a certain amount of proof of work. It's a certain amount of predictions each month in order to be eligible to receive the payout. And the larger your proof of work, the more eligible you are for higher payouts. So if you are using the app and you have a high proof of work and then you find your reputation is way down from where it was and you decide to spin up a new account, yes, you'll reset your reputation score and increase your payout through that mechanism, but your proof of work then comes down. So any attempt to game the system by resetting it will bring your proof of work right back down, and you'll be no better off than where you were. So you would have to repeat all of that work again. And if you're a poor predictor, your reputation score will come down as your reputation score goes back up. So they're always sort of balancing each other to find an equilibrium. So I think that's why we really sort of integrated these 3 proofs. We wanted a mechanism that would reward people for working hard and for being honest and not gaming the system. We didn't want to sort of force mechanisms down people's throat. We wanted it to sort of arise naturally from the way the platform works.
Okay, great. Good answer. So speaking of the platform again, can you make some changes to the interface to accommodate specific markets, such as having a chart or a ticker symbol or something like that of the stock that people are predicting?
Sure. So we plan to include more than just news. We want to include fundamentals, so data about the company and what the company is doing. We're a little bit shy of showing price data because we don't want people chart watching. We don't want people trying to do technical analysis. That's not what we're about. We want to measure how people feel about the asset and the company, not what the price is doing. So that's really the job of our machine learning algorithms, to look after the price and volume data and then integrate that with the human element, the crowd element. So yes, we will be including fundamentals and other things users want to see, and we'll probably show some indication of price, or how it's changed over the past week and month, but we're not going to show price action charts.
Okay. So this next question you guys will probably get, but most people won't. It says, what is the current AUM of Sharpe Capital, and can you explain it in plain English?
Yeah. Well, so the fund at the moment has approximately $500,000 of assets under management. So AUM being assets under management, and that's a mixture of different cryptocurrency assets and some equities, sector equities as well. That's how it's set up at the moment. Beyond the fund, the company itself has raised, as we said earlier, almost 3,000 Ether. Although that's been since November, so the price in dollars of that has changed over the time. So in total, including operating budgets, the AUM is perhaps around $2 million US, including the fund. But so the fund at the moment is around 25%.
Okay, great. So then moving on to that, what is the plan to expand the AUM as the project progresses?
So presumably this is the fund itself. So expanding the AUM of the fund is simply going to come from reallocating some of the Ether that we've raised during the sale, and putting that into the prop fund itself. So on our budget allocation, that's 55%. That was always our goal, and we're still committed to sticking to that. So, you know, if everything stayed the same right now, we would be increasing the AUM to about $1 million US. But we're optimistic that we'll raise more over the next couple of weeks. So we'll probably just wait until the sale closes, and then do some calculations and look at our budget and increase the size of the AUM at that point.
Okay, great. So the next question then is Sharpe Capital more focused on cryptocurrencies or the stock market?
Well, yeah. I mean, good question. So at the moment, the exposure is 50-50 across both markets, and we think that right now is sensible given how overheated to some extent the crypto markets are. Although having said that, of course, there's still opportunities with good startups and undervalued companies, but you have to be very careful because so many things get bid up and overhyped, and it's a dangerous game to play in a bubble. So we want to keep it split 50-50 at the moment, but we also see that there's some fantastic opportunities in crypto markets that there aren't in equities. For example, one of the things that we really like about crypto markets is how inefficient they are, and that means that could just be simply inefficient pricing across exchanges, where it's slow to move money around. That creates opportunities that you don't get in traditional financial markets. So we're keeping an eye on the market from lots of different perspectives. But yeah, at a high level, we're 50-50 for now, and that's sort of how things will stay for the next few months at least.
Okay, great. Moving on then. Next question says, what is the Global Sentiment Index?
The Global Sentiment Index is our name for the data product that we can develop from our users providing sentiment through the Alpha platform. So I think to date we've collected around 60,000 predictions in our first 5 weeks or so. So the way we can sort of manipulate this data is Much like you see on Reddit with upvotes and downvotes, you can apply various statistical models that then tell us the probability that stock will go up or down, or a crypto asset will go up or down in price based on the number of buy signals or sell signals we've received from users. So we're building at the moment this platform where you can visualize assets and how positive sentiment is towards them, and you can match that against fundamental strength and the price action strength. So this really provides a platform for analyzing crypto assets and determining what you want to do with them, whether it's a good investment or not, whether you're going to see an ROI. So yeah, so there are really two limbs to this. There's one targeted at typical users who just trade as a hobby, and then there's a larger, more sophisticated package for hedge funds and institutional investors, which allows them to directly query our data and run their own models on that.
Awesome, great. So we're getting towards the end of our questions. We have about 2 left, and these are going to be about the future plans for Sharpe Capital. So the first one says, do you plan to expand Sharpe Capital beyond just showing newsletters, for example, having asset fundamentals?
Yeah, I think this is similar to what we talked about before with adding price data. We definitely want to expand on the way we present the information to users. I think one key thing is really interesting to see how people respond to different types of information. For example, do you get lots of positive responses to the news for a certain asset, but then when you show the fundamentals, do you get the opposite? You know, looking at these differentials. So one thing we might do is have lots of different views that users can react to and provide predictions on, rather than just have one view of lots of extra information on there. In addition to that, yeah, we'll probably add a couple of very key indicators to the UI that some of the users have asked for. So like price would be one of them, but we may look at some fundamentals for that as well. The trouble is we don't want to pick the wrong ones and then sway people, you know, the wrong way, because let's take like price to earnings ratio, for example. That's not a particularly useful indicator for some types of companies. So we need to put some thought into it and test different methods of measuring response to this data. But yeah, we're looking to build out all these different types of views over the next year or so.
All right, great. So the last question for tonight says, what are Sharpe's priorities over the next quarter?
Okay. Yeah, so we have a number of they come in different buckets. So and it's kind of interesting because we have our own proprietary investments, which is one core part of our business. In addition to that, we also have, you know, revenue streams from licensing prediction data and sentiment data to other funds. And then we have the B2C products as well, right, which is the consumer side of it. So we want to address all of these pillars over the next couple of months as we close the token sale and we move forward with the business and we start to grow. I'd really like to see a kind of self-service UI where people can go and subscribe to prediction data, to sentiment data, and they can get different tiers. So it's not just funds that can use it, but actually everyday people can use it as well. So, and that's a key revenue stream for us, and that's definitely a priority. In addition to that, we're looking at a lot of our algorithmic stuff, and that's quite focused on crypto markets at the moment because of the inefficiencies that I described earlier. So we're really focused on the quantitative research and development and algorithms that are going to also bring in revenue for the fund. And then finally, the B2C product, which of course is important because that's what everyone's engaging with. We're interested in feedback from users and making the alpha better. And then later, probably this is not in the next 3 months, but probably 3 to 6 month time horizon, we'd really like to get a first version of the mobile app out there for everyone to use, because that's sort of really going to increase the volume of predictions we get as well and the value of our data. So I suppose there are our main focuses. It's probably a 3 to 6 month horizon rather than 3 months. But there's so much to do and it's keeping us busy, so that's good.
Yeah, great. Well, that was an excellent answer, and I think that all of these answers and questions were great. I think people will get a lot of information out about it, so thank you guys very much for that. All right, well, this was a great AMA session, guys. Thank you so much. I personally learned a lot. I'm sure the people listening got a lot of questions answered. So is there any other final comments you wanted to make about your ICO in general, or how to find you guys on websites or social media or anything like that?
Sure. So I would encourage users to join our Telegram if they haven't already. That's the best way to get in touch with myself and Lewis and Israel, our CTO. You can go to our website, sharpe.capital. That's sharp with an E, .capital. And you can download our white paper there, and you can view details about the token. The final thing I'd like to say is I'd just like to thank the community we've built so far for being so engaged and for using the app so much and providing such fantastic feedback. Of course, we couldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Well, James and Lewis, thank you guys so much for your time tonight. It was an honor and a privilege to discuss with you about these AMAs brought to you by AmaZix, the community management platform. So what's going to happen is we're going to put some information in the description box down below. We're going to have a timestamp for all of these questions that people can check out. And if you like this video, make sure to like it, share with your friends, subscribe to the official AmaZix AMA channel, and we'll see you in our next video. Guys, thanks again for your time, and I'll see you in the Telegram.
Thank you.
Thank you.